Hello people, in this video I am going to talk about the Z88 keyboard of the Element brand, or that is how the AliExpress store have been calling it, but in the box it says Iyoso. The main points that I am going to talk about there is 1. Why I choose the keyboard and its features, 2. How much I pay for it, 3. Quality and how it was working for 2 months of use, and 4. If I will buy it again. A couple of months ago, I decided to buy a mechanical keyboard since I had used some friend and I really liked the experience. As a second aspect, I really wanted another keyboard because I was using a keyboard with a numeric keypad, that is a 108 key keyboard, and that made me have the mouse quite separate from the area where I am working or when I am playing, and I need more space to move the mouse. So I was looking for something a little smaller. So I opted for the Z88 first because it was not as smaller as the majority of keyboards of this type that normally have 61 keys. This one has 81 keys. I have seen some other quite famous keyboards and with many reviews, but they seem too small to me by only having the QWERTY because they didn't have the key F1 and F2 or more compressed arrows and functions key, and I obviously use those keys quite a bit. So it seems to me that it would be quite difficult to use a keyboard that has a few keys. As for RGB, it is true that there are other keyboards with a much better RGB controlled by software. But honestly, RGB does not interest me much, so what is enough. In fact, I have it in yellow and that's it. I mean, the only thing that is interest to me is that the keyboard is backlight, but hey, it's a plus, you can change them at any given time. In short, the main reason for choosing the keyboard were 1. The price, 2. The medium size, and 3. The white color, because I am setting up a white setup and I was obviously looking for a white keyboard, but this same model is available in another colors. As for the switches that it brings, they are from the Utemu brand, a Chinese brand. I will comment a little later on this topic. As for how much I pay, I bought it on AliExpress, as I said before, and the price I paid was about 35 euros. With a discount and coupons, it seemed to me that they were about 32. After receiving it, I had to open a dispute because the keyboard had several defects aesthetic. It seemed wrong to pay 35 euros and have a lot of defective corners, which honestly does not affect me because it is to use it. But if I buy something, I like it to be perfect when I receive it, not that it looks like someone has used it. So at the end of the dispute, they give me 10 euros back, which is not a bad thing to keep buying things. And now it is time to talk about quality and how it has aged these 2 months. Build quality is pretty good. The keyboard looks super compact, not too heavy, but enough to build firmness. When I bought this keyboard, I chose the red switches of Utemu, as I said before, because it only had that brand as an option. And I really chose the red one because I was already using the membrane keyboard and I didn't want feel to match the shine, because membrane keyboard are quite soft and no step. And I had tried the blue switches and found them very clunky and noisy. As for the use that I am giving it, I use it for about 3 hours a day. Everything seemed fine. The only problem that I have seen is that the W started to fail, but in the box I had 5 spare switches that I suppose that they give like a gift. So I changed it for a new one and now seems to be alright. Then the first negative point will be the switches, because what I have been able to experience, they are not very good. As you can see, the ones that they are deeper than the rest of the keyboard, because they are the keys that I use most in game, or I don't know, it's probably when I exert more efforts on the keyboard. I was looking online and the people gave quite a good opinion about this switch, but since I had this bad experience, I decided to buy 8 switches from Cherry brand, and this time I bought them in black because I have noticed that the red are quite soft and the black I feel that they are going to be a little bit more solid. I have not tried them yet, so I will try them now and show you the sensation. For the rest, I am quite happy with the keyboard. The good thing that eliminates the numerical thumb, making it more comfortable to use when I don't need the numbers very often, obviously. It's true that I miss it sometimes, but it's something with which I can live because I don't use the numerical thumb so much as to be worth having that piece more, I think. And what I like most about this keyboard are the pads, that is, the rubber fit. I imagine that in all of the keyboard premium will be like this. What happened that I have not had a keyboard of those until now? Because normal keyboard by Dell's Microsoft Office keyboard are a disaster. First, because I put it where I put it, they slip. And also, the back legs are not usually rubberized. I mean, the back legs that you use to raise the keyboard. So if you raise those legs, even worse. Also, membrane keyboards are generally not that heavy, so they have been less grip. I had to stick some rubber pads on my old keyboard and they didn't even stay in place. I guess it is because when I am playing, I tend to push the keyboard forward. The truth is that I don't pay attention when I am playing. The keyboard being heavier, smaller, and especially the rubber that are like silicone stick well, and the rear legs are also rubberized. And what seems worse to me is the metallic profile that it brings, which I don't even know if it is metal, and that is why I opened dispute on AliExpress. It comes with many pegs and the truth is that I don't know why, but when you touch it, look kind of sharp. Well, it is not sharp, but I don't know. I don't see a good finish to this, but it really does not affect use at all and it has good aesthetic. As for the keys, they seem to me to be of very good quality. They are quite thick and good. In fact, I bought other key of different color to put it a little bit different, but since the quality of the key that come to me from AliExpress, I tried one and in the end I removed it because the backlight letter was not seen because they don't have a double layer, because the letter is printed on the key and the quality is very bad. So I have left the ones they bring that seems wonderful to me. As for the connector, it is under the keyboard. I really like it because so many keyboards of this style have the connector on the keyboard profile, making it easier to break or bending it by accident or whatever. In addition, as an advantage, it is much easier to direct the cable because it has a few sockets to redirect the cable to the left, to the right or behind the keyboard. The cable is very fat and the connector is type C. We have reached the last point, which is if I will buy it again. In my particular case, I think that I will buy it again because I don't use the keyboard excessively and I don't take 10 hours a day with the keyboard. In principle, the key that I use the most are the Q, W, E, R, A, S, D, F. I think are the keys that use the most of the players, and I have already bought the A cherry switches. I will try it and see. But I changed the key that failed me, and for the moment it has not failed me again. One switch of the Temu brand is worth about 20 pennies, and one switch of the Cherry brand, I think it cost to me 4 euros, 8 switches. That is about 50 pennies per switch. Seem pretty cheap to me. Understanding that they are not going to spoil every 2 months, because if not, in the end, I prefer use the membrane keyboard that is older than me. So if you are really going to use the keyboard for gaming, I think it is highly recommended because in fact the same keyboard without RGB was worth about 20 euros. 20 euro plus 4 or 5 that you spend on the switches that you use the most. Well, and no mention that obviously you have 5 spare in the box, so you should have at least a year of keyboard. But even if you want to change all of the switches for Cherry, it could cost you about 20 euros. Obviously the price is already more expensive, but you will have a top keyboard. So for a not very intensive use, I recommend it. But if it's for use like professional daily and 8 hours a day, I will not buy it. I left you here at the chain of the switches. See you soon!